Michael Chandler, in his UFC debut, faced one of the toughest stylistic matchups in the lightweight division. He won by TKO in half a round, but he still doesn't get the credit he deserves. This fight wasn't about Hooker being hesitant, it was about Chandler making him hesitate. But how did he do that? Let's see. The fight starts. Right away, Michael Chandler is putting on the pressure, and occasionally moves backwards explosively. It's the way he does it too, just so instantaneous. Closer, closer, then a mile away. That impressive footwork makes his timing very hard to read for Hooker. In fact, the first time Dan tries to intercept Michael, he misses by an embarrassing distance. Every time Hooker looks like he's gonna throw, Chandler immediately moves back out of danger. And to make his opponent even more hesitant, the American starts feinting the level change. After all, the takedown threat is something Hooker cannot allow himself to forget. So far, Chandler has not thrown a single strike. He obviously needs to get inside if he wants to hit the taller fighter. In a few moments, it's gonna get very interesting, because Michael is going to commit on the attack for the first time. Now, before the fight, it was very clear in my head what was going to happen. Chandler was going to try to get inside the pocket, Hooker was going to figure out his timing and head position, and then, with the help of the height difference, he was going to intercept him with an uppercut or a vicious knee. Boom. Knockout. Needless to say, I was wrong. Indeed, Chandler found a way to make his own timing almost impossible to predict when he was coming in. But how? Well, it's simple. For every attempted strike, he would adopt a different approach. Look, approach number 1. Chandler goes in for the first time of the fight. He drops his level, then bounces forward while keeping his head at the same height throughout the step. After that, he goes for a right hand to the body. Hooker is worried about two things here: the overhand right and the takedown. His reaction to Michael's attack is to circle out to Chandler's left, away from his power side, and once he feels safe and out of reach, he drops his hands, assessing the situation. 10 seconds later, Chandler comes in with approach number 2. It's basically the same as approach number 1, but with a small difference. It's a level change, followed by a big forward bounce, but the head does not stay on the same level during the step, it comes back up. Then, Chandler goes for the big right to the body again, dipping his head even more this time. As you can see, the overextension is pretty noticeable here. His right foot drags on the floor for a respectable distance. Although Dan is in a different stance during this approach, he reacts mostly the same way, and Chandler keeps stalking him. 10 seconds later, it's time for approach number 3. Michael steps forward with a small level change, feinting the right hand. Then, his right foot drags on the mat, which sets him up for a sort of Superman overhand. After that, his right foot drags down even farther. The reaction from Hooker is the usual one. 15 seconds later, approach number 4. Again, slightly different approach for a similar attack. This one is kinda weird. It looks like Chandler is gonna put his left foot down, but instead, he pushes explosively with his right leg. He takes a massive forward step and tries to pierce Hooker's body with the right hand. Look at how low Chandler's head is. Pretty insane. So, keep this in mind before we continue. So far, Chandler has thrown the big right a grand total of 4 times, and every single time, he entered the range in a slightly different way. So of course, Dan Hooker is not going to be able to figure out his timing. Obviously, he's not going to accurately predict Chandler's head position the next time he comes in. It's incredibly hard and also dangerous to try to counter someone if you don't recognize a certain pattern of movement. And that's why Hooker was waiting like he was, circling away from Chandler's power, keeping a safe distance to avoid the grappling. That being said, let's look at the last few sequences that sealed Hooker's fate. Here, Chandler enters range with approach number 4 again. He's trying to condition Dan's reaction, just to make sure it stays the same. 2 seconds later, same approach, number 4, but whoa, he actually goes to the head this time. This only reinforces the overhand fear for Hooker. Look at how worried he is. Look at how he moves once he escapes the main threat. 2 seconds later, same approach, same target, but look at Chandler's right foot. He's almost southpaw after committing on this strike. And as you understand by now, the Hangman's defense stays the same. After all, he's not really getting hit or taken down, so why change? Well, that habit of his is going to get very dangerous very soon. Chandler comes in with approach number 1, followed by a level change to make Hooker back up towards the cage. Of course, it works. Hooker's back's against the wall, He's watching the right hand, ready to sprawl, but Chandler's prepared some fireworks. With approach number 4, he's certainly looking for more. He makes his entry very obvious, but that's all on purpose, to trigger the predictable reaction that he knows is gonna allow him to dispose of his opponent. The overextension at that moment brings Chandler's right foot right where it needs to be, for Michael's overhand left to be thrown full power in perfect disguise. What's more effective, Hooker's eyes, or the gradually conditioned element of surprise?